Right now, there's a small window of opportunity in Singapore's property market where you can upgrade to a newer condo without paying much more per month. But that window is already starting to close. The big question is, how is this even possible? If you're wondering how recent new launches are still selling out so well when it's smaller in size and more expensive than resale, keep watching. It all comes down to one policy change called GFA Harmonisation. So what exactly is GFA Harmonisation? In simple terms, it is the standardization of the way floor area is being measured across all government agencies. Previously, things like aircon ledgers, planter boxes, and void spaces were included in the total sellable strata area of the unit. Now they are excluded, which means newer condos appear smaller on paper, but they are actually more efficiently designed. And this creates a really important shift, because when the size gets smaller, the price per square foot naturally looks higher, but the overall price of the new unit can be surprisingly comparable to the resale unit. This is where the opportunity comes in. So right now there's actually a mismatch in the market. Older condos, they look larger on paper and lower per square foot, while new launches appear smaller with a higher per square foot, but have more efficient layouts and similar livable space. However, this does not mean that older condos are not value for money. It really depends on the project and which condo you're comparing to. If you need a case-by-case analysis, please feel free to reach out as this is just a general trend. Now, how are some buyers taking advantage of this mismatch to swap their property? I'll be sharing 3 case studies to illustrate the swaps. In general, they would sell their older unit, either buy a new unit that has a more efficient layout, upgrade to a better location, or buy a new unit that has comparable livable space yet cheaper than a resale unit nearby. Let me show you what this looks like using the recent launches. Case study number 1, we have De Leden versus Sky at Holland. This is an example where you can swap from an older condo with less efficient layout to a new condo with a better layout and additional bedroom for the same price. Both condos are 99 years leasehold properties in Holland. So over here, De Leden, we have a 3-bedder that is 1593 square feet, and after accounting for GFA harmonization, it is about 1481 square feet. And this resale 3-bedder over here actually transacted at 3.37 million in September 2025, and this is a resale property. So after the owner has sold his 3-bedder in De Leden, he could have swapped to a new 4-bedroom unit at Sky at Holland, 1238 square feet, at the same price. Because if you see over here in October 2025, there are actually 4-bedder units that transacted for 3.337 million. Now let's take a look at the layout. For De Leden, you can see over here there's actually a really huge oversized planter box and balcony, and the layout in general, it looks really curvy and not really squarish and efficient. And over here they have a utility room, yard and kitchen. Living and dining is also vertical shaped over here. So similarly, let's compare this to Sky at Holland, a 4-bedroom. That is 1238 square feet. It's about the same size. And yet, right, over here you notice that you can actually get to enjoy a private lift, a home shelter over here, and also an additional bedroom for the same price. So imagine if you're a resale buyer today looking at both projects upon Sky at Holland's TOP, which one will you choose? A more efficient squarish layout with no wasted space, or a seemingly bigger resale property that has a layout like this? Case study 2, we have Zion Grand versus Riviera, which showcases an example where the new launch unit is much cheaper than a resale for almost the same livable space. Both condos are 99-year leasehold properties in River Valley, and they are just opposite each other. However, Zion Grand is integrated with Havelock MRT while Riviera is not. So this 3-bedroom in Riviera actually transacted at 3.6 million to 3.7 million over here last year, December and August. This is actually a 3-bedder that is 1216 square feet. So while a new launch unit, a 3-bedder in Zion Grand, the lower floors actually transacted from 3 million to 3.128 million back in August 2002. That is almost 700k cheaper for a new property that is actually directly integrated with the MRT with amenities just downstairs. Even for the super high floor units, if I can draw your attention to the transactions here, it transacted at 3.566 million onwards, and this is above 50th floor, where you actually get to enjoy amazing skyscraper views. Now let's compare the layout. Riviera 3-bedder looks much bigger, right, at 1216 square feet. But how much of that space is actually usable space? So let's take a look over here. The living room plus study is 38 square meters compared to Zion Grand's 35 square meter. There is a 3 square meter difference. The kitchen and yard, 7 square meter and 10 square meters. Balcony is almost the same as well, 10 square meters for Zion Grand and 8 meters for Riviera. Master bedroom plus bath, we have 20 meters for Zion Grand and similarly 21 square meters for Riviera as well. Bedroom 2 and bedroom 3, there's only a difference of 3 square meters each, which is almost about the same. Bath 2 and the WC, 1 square meter difference. The home shelter is also 1 square meters difference. Now, the aircon ledge for Riviera, which is actually a pre-harmonized project, is 5 square meters. So when you take into account the GFA harmonization policy and remove the aircon ledge from the total sellable strata area, we see that the usable space for Riviera is 108 square meters and 100 square meters here for Zion Grand. So there's only a difference of 8 square meters. And yet at Zion Grand, it actually transacted almost 700k cheaper. Now if you take a look closely at the layout, you can see that actually Zion Grand's layout might feel a bit more spacious, because the moment you enter the unit over here, you get a really nice landscape living room. Compared to Riviera, when you enter over here, it might look a bit more narrow because it is actually a vertical living room. So today, imagine if you're a buyer comparing Riviera and Zion Grand in the resale market. Would you really pay 700k more for just 8 square meters small space? Next, case study number 3, we have Park Colonial versus Sky at Holland. This is where an owner of Park Colonial could have sold his property and upgraded to a better location from Woodley to Holland. So let's take a look at Park Colonial's 3-bedroom, 9, and after accounting for GFA harmonization, the effective usable space is about 908. The resale 3-bedders over here, during the same period when Sky at Holland was launched, it actually transacted from 2.3 million to 2.41. And if we compare that to Sky at Holland's 3-bedroom, 915 square feet, which is the new launch, the brand new 3-bedders actually transacted for almost about the same price at 2.394 million. This is where the owners could have sought to a better location properties for almost the same price. This is exactly why located and good value new launch projects launched recently achieved strong sales of close to 90%. In short, it is really due to the palatable quantum that some of these new units are going for compared to its resale counterparts in the same era. Furthermore, these units have functional and modern layouts which buyers today actually prefer, despite the smaller size and higher per square foot. So you actually don't have any more oversized balconies, bay windows, planter boxes, and odd-shaped layouts that may not be very meaningful in today's context. And in the future, when you actually try to exit and sell your property, it might also be easier for you to sell when these new condos hit the resale market and compete with the older resale condos in the same era. Of course, this is assuming that you don't overpay for the next unit by understanding developers' pricing strategy and sweet spots within the project for the new launch condos. So if you want to learn more about this, I've actually put a link to my video about how developers actually price out their units in the description box down below. So how long will this window of opportunity last if you're a homeowner today looking to make your next move? To determine this, let's take a look at the cost of land over the past 15 years and how the average new launch prices have actually increased over these few years. So we'll be looking at between 2010 to 2025. The housing market actually went through 6 key phases. Let's break it down simply. Over the last 15 years, the market didn't just go up in a straight line. It moved in cycles. 6 key phases driven by policy changes and market sentiment. So the orange line over here actually represents land costs, what developers pay to bid for GLS land sites. The blue line over here actually represents average new launch prices in millions, what buyers are actually paying for these new units. So right after the GFC in 2008, prices started low, then recovered strongly. Over here, this period of time. Then came cooling measures in the early 2010s, both land costs and the new home price growth actually slowed and stabilized over here. After that, there was actually a huge increase in land costs due to the en-bloc fever where many developers were actually competing for sites back then. After 2018, more cooling measures were implemented and prices softened again. Then COVID hit, but instead of falling, we saw a strong housing boom over here. So you can see that the new home prices at that point of time actually increased quite sharply. And recently, after 2023, new cooling measures plus GFA harmonization came in, which is where we are at today over here, this period of time. So land prices have started to slowly increase again from about 1132 PSF in 2024 to 1260 in 2025 and around 1313 in 2026. So average new launch prices have also followed suit, and they are about 2.29 million in 2024, 2.36 million in 2025, and we are projecting for it to hit 2.74 million in 2026. Moving forward from here. Notice a common trend here, the orange line always moves first. The land prices go up, then the blue line will go up, which is the average new launch prices. Because land cost is a major cost of development for developers, and with every phase, we have actually noticed that price increases. And right now, if you notice, both lines have started to increase upwards, which signals the start of a new cycle. Back in 2023, when this new policy was actually announced, developers had to adjust to less sellable strata areas, and they were also uncertain about how to actually price their units and how would buyer demand be like. Therefore, in order to protect their margins and account for this uncertainty, they had to bid lesser for these government land sales, which is why the land bids for these projects back then in the early 2023s are actually much lower. So we can see over here that back then Lentor Central was at 982 per square foot PPR, Sky at Holland 1285, Elta 1250, Ori 1360, Bloomsbury about 1191. Furthermore, external factors like the hike in ABSD for foreigners, interest rate hikes, and rising construction costs also dampened the outlook for developers at that point of time. However, in hindsight, these developers who actually bidded and secured land at a lower cost back then, they actually had the first mover advantage and could afford to price their new launch units lower during launch. So notice that OCR, right, for the land cost, averagely it was about below 1,000 per square foot. RCR we have 1,002 to 1,003 per square foot, and in the CCR we have 1,003 to 1,004 per square foot. Now compare this with recent land bids for upcoming projects in Holland Link, Dunnon, Dorset, Bedok Rise, and of course Newton, with the highest being 1820 in November last year. It seems that after 3 years, land prices have begun to normalize, with new benchmarks being set in different regions. Recent GRS land sites have easily crossed the 1,400 per square foot PPR mark, and with more popular locations with strong attributes like Dover and Novena sites hitting their respective highs at 1,556 per square foot and 1,820 per square foot respectively. We can see that market confidence has actually returned. Developers are bidding more confidently again, with top bids meeting or exceeding expectations. And on the demand front, right, it has actually proved to be quite resilient due to the falling interest rates recently and how well the stock market has performed in the past 1 year. Now, what does this mean for you if you're planning your next move? Is it actually too late? With higher land costs, it is forecasted that the average new launch prices will easily cross 2.7 million in 2027 from 2.36 million in 2025 over here. Which is why actually many owners have decided to take action and swap their properties. Now, if you're looking to catch this last window opportunity and would like a review of your property portfolio, please feel free to reach out to me and we'll discuss your options together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.